Welcome back everyone to this new tutorial. So I'd like to add the stairs. So these stairs, I'm going to be showing you a quick trick to add these stairs without having to modify them or to model them from scratch, because it's going to take a lot of time. So the technique that we're going to be using is the curve modifier. So let me just show you. So I'm going to be duplicating this curve. So I'm going to be selecting this object and I'd like to select only the vertices on the edge. So let's press Alt here. So Alt, and let's see. As you can see, it's not selected. So what we have to do is to do it by hand. So let me just select these three faces, Shift D. Let's just move them up like this. I'm going to be pressing P, separate selection, so that we can work on it separately. And here on the edit mode, I'm going to be selecting, for example, this edge and this edge. And let's select everything here. So I'm going to be using the control so that I can select everything in between, something like this. And also here, press Control and select everything. So now as you can see, everything is selected, but actually we don't need this one at the middle. All we need is just those on the edge. So I'm gonna press or Shift D to duplicate these. Let's move them up. Press P, separate selection. And also we don't need this one. I'm gonna just X delete it. So this one we need to convert it from mesh. So right now, as you can see, it's an actual mesh. So we need to convert it into a curve. So in order to do that, but let me first set the origin to the geometry like this. So I'm going to be going to object and convert to a curve. So now it's going to be a curve. So if we switch, so it's going to be a curve. You can see the change in geometry. So right now what we need to do is to select these fence that we already created. So we're going to be using it right here. So Shift D, duplicate this one. Let's just move it a little bit up. And I'm going to be adding here a new modifier. It's going to be the curve. So I'm selecting this fence. So let's add a new modifier. It's going to be the curve. This one, it's on the deform, the third face. So curve like this, and I need to select that curve object. So we can use this eyedropper, so click on it and we can use this curve. And actually we're using it right now. So let me just try to see how it works. Yes, you can see that. So it's going on, it's following, but it's following in the wrong direction. So actually what we need to do is to switch this deform axis from the X to the Y. We need to try them all. So you can see this one looks a little bit different. What about the Z? What about the minus X, minus Y? Yes, actually it's the minus Y. You can see that. So we need to keep experimenting until we find the one that works for us. So let me go to the top and let me try to take a look at it. So you can see that it's going to be following this curve. But actually what we need to do is to move it a little bit on the X-axis, a little bit closer. Let me go to the top using the 7 key. And let's make it a little bit like this. So now as you can see, it's perfect. I'm going to just move it until it starts from here. And also you can investigate everything. But as you can see, it's flipped, it's upside down. So actually to fix it, it's really easy. So I'm going to press SZ-1. Now as you can see, it's inverted. Perfect. So all we have to do right now is to just select this one and let's move it. Actually, it goes a little bit to the other side. Let's move it downside until it matches with our base. And as you can see, we got it. It's looking perfect. But also here, I'd like to remove this extra stuff, these extra fences. So let's go back to the array and let's reduce that count. Actually, as you can see, it's reducing, it's removing from the other side. So that's fine. We can do this. Let me just cut, for example, 17, and we can move it forward, just like this. So this is the starting point. So GY a little bit forward, and we can cut or move this extra piece. So let's just keep it at 16. 16 looks fine. All right, so this is the same technique that we're going to be using down below. All right, so let's do the same thing for the second floor. So I'm going to be selecting this one, and let's select only this face, Shift D again, and let's move it upside, press P, separate selection, and let's just remove one edge. So I think, let me try to see, or to remove this edge. So edge only, dissolve edge, nope, this one, yes, it's working. So we have only this, the outside edge loop. So I'm going to be selecting it, but actually we need to separate it. So let's press P, separate selection. All right, so now it's separated. I'm going to go to object, set origin, origin to the geometry. And let's go again to object, convert to curve. All right, so now we got it working. I'm going to be selecting this one again. So Shift D. And let me just move it a little bit downside, so GZ. And let's go to the modifiers, and instead of using this previous curve, I'm gonna just remove this one, and let's use this new one. Now we got it, so GZ again, and let's move about there. Okay, so let's just move it, so GY. Let's connect it, so GY a little bit forward, something like this. Okay, so all we have to do right now is to remove, or let me try GX to bring it a little bit outside. Yep, something like this, GX. All right. Okay, so all we have to do is to just cut this number down. So let's go to the array and let's remove those. I think something like, nope. So 8 looks fine, 8 is fine. All right, so let's do it for the last floor, which is this one on the bottom side. So this one's gonna be a little bit tricky. So which one's gonna work because it's not on the same level. So these stairs are not on the same level. So I've tried it before, you can try it too, but this is the best way to do it, which is to cut it into 2 pieces. So we need first to, let me just select only these. So Shift D, GZ, let's go up again, press P, separate selection. Also, in order to delete everything here, well, you know what, let's do it as a last step. All right, so let me go here to object, set origin to the geometry, and let's duplicate this one again. So Shift D, duplicate one, and let's go to the curve, remove this one, and let's use the new curve. So let me find my object, which is on the top. So I'm gonna just try to move it a little bit downside here. So let me go to the top to see how it works, if it's behaving correctly or not. No, actually it's a little bit weird. So I'm not sure if it's connected to it or not, to this object. So this one, is it a mesh? Convert into, let me just switch. I think it's still, yes. It's not a curve yet. So let's go to object, convert to curve. Okay, so I think now it's gonna be working. So let's select this one. So now as you can see, it's working. So I made that mistake, which is, actually it's not a big mistake. Okay, so let's just try to do this, but actually you can see the problems we got here. So we need to find the sweetest spots because we don't have too much details in these. So I think this one is gonna be working just fine. So something like this. Okay, let me check it. So GZ, let's move it down below. So I think it's gonna be better if we just adapt this one to this one. So if we adapt this base, let me just show you. So GX, let's move it, or GY, let's move it to the starting point, which is this one. Okay, and I'm gonna just cut the array by just 6, something like that. All right, after that, what I'd like to do is to adapt. Let me just show you. So I'm going to be switching here to the wireframe. Let's select those, can move them here. So this is the starting point of the stairs. So this way it's going to be easier if we try to match it 100%, which is not the case, should not be the case. So let's select those and let's move them a little bit to the left. And as you can see, we got the bottom side, which is good. So all we have to do right now is to add these two. And after that, we're gonna start working on the stairs. So let's do this. I'm gonna be selecting this one. So select the first one, press Ctrl until you are reaching the end. Select this one too, and this one. So we got this. And we need also to duplicate. Select these 3. So Shift D, and let's move it to the top side. So let's go up. Let's try to work on it a little bit, because actually we don't need to have this edge. So X, and let's just remove that edge. Let's take a look at everything. I think now it's working fine. So let's press P, separate selection. All right, I'm gonna go to object, set origin to the geometry. And again, go here to convert it into a curve, which is fine. So let me select again this object, Shift D. And I'm gonna be switching, go to the curve. I'm gonna be removing this current curve. And let's select the new one. So as you can see, we got it here. So let me try to check it on the other side. But actually it works on one side only, which is a little bit weird. So we got this one. I'm gonna just separate the second half. So press P, separate selection. Okay, so this one belongs to this part. So let me just move it downside here. So gx, or actually gy, and let's set the starting point, which is here. Also gz, let's go up. Okay, the movement is a little bit weird. Alright, so let's try to remove or to cut down the number of the array. Yes, actually we must do it forward. So gx, I bet we need 4 loops. Gx, yeah, we can roll with this one. Alright, so let's duplicate this one again, and let's assign it, gonna be removing this one, and let's assign it to this edge loop. So let's use this eyedropper, and basically we got it. So let's just increase that array to something like this. So now as you can see, it's curvy and everything. So gy, let's move it just a little bit backward here, just so that you can make the connection easier. Alright then, so we got everything connected. So all we have to do right now is to combine these into one piece, because we don't need to have all those objects, all those curves. So I'm going to be going here, and let's apply, I need to apply the array modifier first, and after that we need to apply the curve, because check this out, if we apply first the array or the curve, check this out, it's going to be messed up. Can you see that? So you're gonna understand this one with time, because it's a little bit difficult to explain. So just keep in mind, when using the curve, we need to apply the array modifier first. So let's apply it first, and after that we can apply the curve. Same thing here. So let's apply the array first and the curve second. So what do we have next? Yes, we have this one, apply array, curve, and lastly this one, array and the curve. And also here we can do some tweakings. So I think it's gonna be better if we just apply. So let's switch to the wireframe, select those, try to bring them like this. So we're adapting to this curve. So let me just switch here again and do something like this. Now it's perfect. So like I said, the last step is gonna be to add these stairs. So it's gonna be pretty simple. So check this out. I'm gonna be, for example, selecting both of those. Press Ctrl J to combine them, this J, and let me switch here to the edit mode. I'm going to be selecting, for example, this face and this face, and try Ctrl A, Ctrl E, this E, and bridge edge loops. So as you can see, it's connected. Let's do the same thing for the middle one. Ctrl A and bridge edge loops. And actually there is no need to apply it for the third one. Well, let me check. I think that's fine. So all we have to do right now is to insert, for example, 3 edge loops, or just 2, and press Ctrl B to bevel them. You can just reduce that number. You can scroll the mouse to remove it. So I'm going to be selecting these faces here, and I'm going to press E to extrude, and let's move it downside like this. So this is the trick for adding the stairs. As you can see, it's pretty much easy. So just do it for the rest of these stairs and we're good to go. Also keep in mind that you can delete those. So after applying the curve modifier, you can just delete these curves. So you don't need them. So everything is applied. So see you in the next coming tutorial. Have a nice day.